What is up, guys? Welcome back to another volume review today, and that is volumes reviews for 13 and 14 of My Hero. I usually have fantastic covers to talk about. These ones are quite good, but not to the level of the other ones. I like how the characters kind of stand out more than the background image. In 14 you have Deku, and then Deku and Bakugo here on 13. I also like how Bakugo's hair kind of covers the volume number and picture. I think that's quite cool. But let's just get straight into the contents. Again, fantastic art by Horikoshi. I think I'm just going to say that at the beginning of every single one. Nothing that stands out in terms of the fights like they did in the last few volumes, just nice and coherent, like I usually say. Now, I was kind of going back and forth whether I was being too harsh on this arc, but I do stand by it. I do think the volume 12 content is a bit lackluster and weak, but I do think that this definitely is the best part of the arc in volume 13, and this rescue bit. It has the most kind of interesting parts to it and the best parts of the arc as a whole. I like the feud that Todoroki and I can't remember this guy's name, but the guy that uses wind. I like the kind of little feud that they have between each other. I think it's really cool, and because of Endeavor, you can still see Todoroki being holding back, and kind of his anger towards Endeavor and how it hasn't left as he thinks it does or has. And I think that's a nice little feud, and I do like the way that they kind of come together at the end and work together to kind of put their names back up, because obviously all the people that were testing them and stuff were quite disappointed and disgusted at how two of the strongest people there could ruin everything. They almost killed one of the other students, and I like the take charge deck where he's like, what's the big idea? I think that's quite cool, and kind of how, because he's done so well in the professional license, he has the right to kind of boss people around and make sure that everyone's doing what they need to do. So I think that's quite cool and quite nice to see. And obviously you get a bit of backstory on the two of them, Todoroki and this other guy, and how Todoroki was just kind of a dick. But I like how he's changed, and like I said, them working together here to make this wind, fire, tornado was quite cool. So yeah, that's all interesting, and I do like the introduction of Gang Walker as a villain. His costume design is definitely the best of any hero. He just looks fantastic, and Horikoshi's done a really good job with his character design. So, and I do think everything just becomes more interesting when he's added to the mix. But I don't even think that this, although this is the best part of the arc, I don't think this is even the best part of the volume. I think everything kind of comes together and just gets better as the arc ends, or as the provisional license exam ends. Obviously you have it so that Bakugo and Todoroki don't qualify, and at first I was kind of like, wasn't a fan of it, but now I kind of like it. It leads to the Bakugo Deku fight towards the end of the volume, which I'll touch on. And although Todoroki's my favourite character, I kind of like how he didn't qualify. I don't think it actually would have been realistic or even fair if he actually did qualify. And I think it is better that he didn't, because he just wasn't good in the exam. And although he's probably, I would say, still the strongest at 1A, the fact that he didn't get his professional license will just aim him to work harder and kind of stray further from the kind of person that Endeavor is. So, although I didn't like it at first, I did like it towards the end. And there's always something that I touch on when I talk about My Hero, and that is the conversations. Now, these last three volumes, although there's last three chapters, sorry, although there's no action in them until towards the end, everything is just interesting. Everything that happens in these last few chapters are the best thing to happen since the All Might fight, and I think that's saying a lot. It kind of says how the provisional license was a bit lackluster, but also how fantastic these last three chapters are. Firstly, it's revealed that Toko is pretending to be I can't remember her name now. She pretends to be someone from that school, and you kind of get the first reveal of her quirk, which is quite cool. Then you have this whole chapter, which I think is one of the most interesting chapters in the series. This whole chapter from the point of Twice, one of the coolest villains. You can see him on the back there in his villain costume, and kind of just him talking about everyday life as a villain. And I think that's just really interesting. You get the perspective of somebody who you don't expect. You know, Twice isn't one of the bigger villains in the series, but you get a whole chapter just based on everything from his perspective, and you can kind of see how everything's kind of gone to shit now that All Might's no longer there, and you can kind of see the world changing around the characters, and obviously not massively because it's going to take time for villains to realise that there's not as much presence there to stop them, but it does happen in the volume, and I think that's quite cool. And then to further that, after this fantastic chapter where you get the first introduction of Overhaul, and then he's like to ask or not to ask, which is quite cool because that just correlates with the quirk and stuff. And I'm a big fan of Twice, and the first introduction to Overhaul was really cool. Then you get this really powerful conversation between All For One and All Might, which I've really enjoyed. And then to kind of top it all off at the end, you get Bakugo talking to Deku about his quirk, and basically him telling him that he knows. And that leads to another fantastic fight in the series. Bakugo and Deku 2.0, I guess. It's when they fight for a second time. But this fight, the first one doesn't hold anything to this, basically. It's an amazing fight. Just everything about it. You see so much progression from Bakugo himself. An emotional wreck because he blames himself for All Might. So much similarly to how Deku does in the provisional license. Yeah, so the amount of progression that he puts within that fight, and just within those chapters themselves, make this, although I don't have the provisional license exams, make this one of the best volumes in the series. Then you kind of go to 14, and this is the first time that I get any new content apart from anime. So obviously I'd watched the anime before reading any of the manga, so I'll just pick up the page where it's new content. So this is the ending of season 3. Everything from here onwards and the volumes onwards is new content for me. But I'll talk about obviously everything before then. The volume starts concluding the amazing fight, and then again goes back to those powerful conversations between characters, and it's all Might kind of apologising, and you can kind of see Bakugo revert to his old state, saying that's not what he wanted to hear, but at the same time he kind of understands, and there is definitely a massive amount of progression here for the character of Bakugo. I think that's really well handled, and it comes at the right time after all that he's experienced in the last couple of arcs and stuff. So great job by Horikoshi with his characters as usual, but nothing really too much to touch on there. Another thing I like, which might not be like a big thing, is the attention to detail that Horikoshi puts into his series, and how they're both reprimanded for what they had done, and that they fought, which I think like some manga would just missed out, you know, think is not important, but them being on 3 days house arrest basically was just kind of funny and just a nice little unique thing. And that's something I don't think I really touch on enough. Is it's a very comedic and funny series, My Hero, and I don't really think I touch on that enough. I mentioned the kind of personality and quirkinesses that the characters have. But and just speaking of characters like that, Mirio Tokuto, one of my favourite characters in the series, is definitely one of those quirky and funny characters and comedic characters, but also one of the strongest. And I really like the UA Big Three. I think they're introduced again at the right time. I think Horikoshi's very good at his kind of planning characters at the right time, and he knows when to put story elements in the series at the right time. So that's something I don't really think I give Horikoshi enough credit for. But yeah, the UA Big Three, obviously Mirio being the main one of them three, I think they're all great, and you definitely see so much more of them in the overhaul arc. So that's quite cool and something that I like. But the main thing is Mirio's quirk and stuff, and him just basically taking down all of UA like it's nothing, all of 1A, sorry, like it's nothing, and that was cool. And this page just cool, and he's just a cool character. But I won't touch too much on that, and what I will touch on is the new content. Now, I was really just I was worried about what would happen. I was worried that I wouldn't enjoy all this new content as much because it's just manga as opposed to the anime, which I really like. But no, that's definitely not how it happened. I was not disappointed. The first chapter afterwards, you literally get the death of a villain in Magne. And you kind of get to see Overhaul's quirk in full throttle. And obviously how these guys are not going to work together. Well, you see them working together later, but right now, you think there's no hope for these guys working together. And he also blows up Mr. Compress's arm. It was just a really cool fight. I mean, although it was only a chapter long, it was just really cool. And they both kind of kill people on each other's sides. And if that wasn't enough in this jam-packed volume, you get introduced to the character of Night Eye, who was All Might's sidekick, and he kind of puts Deku through a test in order to let him get put through to his agency. And I think that one of the funniest pages and panels is in this bit, and that's when he imitates All Might's face. It's just hilarious, and again that kind of comedy element. It was great, and it's just a nice opening to the overall arc, and the way the volume ends, as usual with My Hero, a nice little ending there to conclude this volume and the first introduction of Eri. So I think it's kind of hard to give a score for these two volumes, because I do think that they introduce some new elements and characters which are really interesting, and I do really like the end to provisional license exam, so I probably would end up giving it a 7, 3 and a 4 and a 3. Although I like this volume, I don't really think it earns itself enough to get an 8, because it doesn't really do so much more, but everything's still good and everything's progressing much more better than it was in the provisional license exams. And I really, really like these two volumes actually. I kind of, the more I look on them now, the better they get, so maybe I was a bit harsh on the provisional license exam arc, but I think that's fine because this overall arc is where everything is really good. So 15 to 16 I expect only positives, to be honest. But other than that, I look forward to reviewing those, and I'm almost up to date now. Just got 15, 16 and then 17 and 18 to review, and then I'll start doing single volume reviews as they come out. So yeah, we're getting into the overall arc now, so hopefully you guys enjoy that. Anything you want to talk about in My Hero, talk about in the comments. Other than that, have a great day and peace.